What's up guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be showcasing my experience of building a mini PC. So we're going to use the RTX 5090, a mini ITX motherboard from ASUS called the Strix B850 Strix I Gaming, NZXT AIO 280mm, 1000W ASUS power supply, Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, 64GB of RAM from G-Skills, and 4TB of SSDs, and the NCASED M2 Grater. This is going to be quite a powerful PC and 15 liters of space. So this is my first time building a computer. Let's hope it goes well. So I've been following YouTube videos from Optimum Gaming and Linus Tech Tips of building a PC, and this is what we have so far. We take out the motherboard, we unscrewed the heat sinks of the SSD and plugged it in, and we also inserted the RAM sticks. In the next step, we assembled part of the case. We have screwed in the motherboard into the case, and we also screwed in the power supply. This is a SFX power supply, which means it's smaller and fits in this mini ITX computer, and we have plugged in some of the cables we're using. So we're using a 24-pin motherboard connector, and this motherboard has only one 8-pin, so we only have one of those plugged in. We will be using one SATA connector to power the AIO and the fans, and we also have that 12-pin for the GPU. The next steps I recommend you do is to screw in the AIO to the top part of the case. We attach the radiator to the top part, and then we screw in the fans. And then for the bottom part of the case, we have two fans as well. I'll be setting all of the fans in this build to exhaust, so we'll have some negative pressure. And then the GPU will be the intake in the side. I should also mention that this build will feature a vertical GPU, so we will need a PCIe riser, which we are using. Once we have all of that, let's get some of the wiring done of the motherboard. So we'll take that 24-pin and plug it in, and also plug in the 8-pin. So we have all that cable wiring set up. And then I attach the AIO in the bottom fans of the case, and we get all of those plugged in. Then we screw in the AIO. I will be using Noctua NH2 thermal paste, which is regarded as like one of the best in class thermal paste and pretty durable. So then we do that and we secure the AIO onto the CPU. Make sure we tighten everything and get that thermal paste spread out and have good contact. Cable management is going to be pretty tough. As you can see right now, it's kind of like a big mess, but we're gonna have to kind of put everything in that middle section and kind of tie it up neatly. Cables being neat isn't really a thing for this small of a case. It's gonna be kind of, you can keep it as tidy, like neatly together, but you're gonna see it no matter what. The NZXT AIO comes with a fan controller, so we will also have to put that inside. So we're gonna plug in the RGB fan so it can be connected with the NZXT cam software. So all you have to do is just plug all those things in, kind of tie the cables neatly, put them somewhere in the center or on the bottom there, out of the fan's way. I'll also have some fan grills that I'm going to put on these fans so that the wires kind of can lay on top of the fans and you don't have to worry about it getting in the blades. For a small PC like this, a fan grill will be really useful. As you see here, all we have left is the GPU. We have that riser in already and it's sitting on top of that fan. And then we're gonna have a vertical GPU mount. And also in the meantime, I switched out the GPU for MSI Supreme instead of a Gaming X Trio, just so it has that better thermal performance. So now we will insert the GPU and secure in the back with some standoffs here in the screws. So we just have to slot it in and put it in. As you can see, this is a big GPU, but it fits in this case surprisingly. Everything is so compact and it looks really nice. So hopefully we're gonna have some good luck and boot up on the first try. So here we are, that everything is connected and powered, it looks like, and we have booted into the BIOS here. So all we have to do now is install Windows with my USB drive, which I got from the internet, and set it as the boot installation media. And I'm recording this in retrospect here. So what was one of the errors is that the GPU wasn't seated correctly, so it was detecting no signal. So some troubleshooting things just to make sure everything's plugged in correctly. The PCIe riser cable wasn't plugged in, and this GPU was kind of big, so when I was installing everything, it might have fell out of slot. Another issue I had was the fans not being able to be controlled. It turns out that one of the USB cables weren't plugged in to the motherboard, so the fans were not being detected. So I kind of have to take apart everything, plug all that stuff in, but we have booted up correctly into the BIOS with everything detected. So let's run some tests. So we were able to get 15,312 in Steel Nomad, and this was without much tuning at all. And the GPU was averaging at 56 degrees, which is pretty surprising with this small case, but that Supreme has just a nice beefy cooler on it. So now let's boot into Roblox, my favorite game, and see if we can reach 60 FPS on this demanding title. So I am running a 4K monitor, so chances are probably not. Let's see if this 5090 can handle it. But for real, so I tested this computer on Valorant and Overwatch at 4K on high and epic settings, or the high settings on all of them. So in Overwatch here, in this practice training map, we're capping out at the maximum 600 FPS here. This GPU is just really powerful even for but Overwatch is pretty well optimized. But now you can basically play super high quality with 600 FPS here, which is pretty nice. And then in Valorant, in the training range, I was getting 1000 FPS. Note that the training range probably in real game would be lower, but even around 700-800 FPS in game is pretty good. And I have a 480 Hertz monitor, so we'll be way over that, so we'll be playing pretty well here. Overall, that's my build. This is my first time building in a PC, and overall I would say it was pretty successful. The highest temperatures I've seen on the GPU was around 60 degrees and the CPU was in the mid 60s. So this, even though we are in a small case here, the temperatures are absolutely amazing. So the AIO and the GPU cooler are putting in work. I did not witness any thermal throttling, and there's definitely some room for overclocking. So I'm pretty happy with this small case, and now that it's kind of portable, I can bring it around a lot of places. So I totally recommend this build for anyone who kind of wants to have a small but very powerful, and the temperature is very nice on this PC, and I guess this case is pretty good too. So guys, that was my build. Thanks for watching and have a good one.